Hello everybody and welcome to the final third, and today we're going to be doing our Premier League Matchweek 17 predictions. Like we've said over the last couple of weeks, the quality of the Premier League has increased so much and it's very exciting, so it's kind of hard to predict these games now, so points are going to probably be very hard to get nowadays. But before we get into the video, Al, do you want to reveal the player from the last one?
Yes, it was Shinji Kagawa. Let us know if you got that in the comments, and we'll do another quiz at the end of the video.
Perfect. Let's just jump straight into the video. And the first game is Newcastle versus Chelsea. 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday. What have you guys predicted for that?
I've gone 2-1 Chelsea.
I've also gone for 2-1 to Chelsea.
Do you know what? To be different, I'll go 2-0 to Chelsea. I don't want us all to predict the same score. Do you know what I mean? That's boring. Okay. Yeah. So, what are we thinking? What are we thinking about the game?
I think it'll be a pretty close game. I think it'll be good. I don't know. I think it being at St James's Park is definitely a big advantage for Newcastle. But at the moment, I just don't think they're playing that good. I did mention in the last video whether, I imposed the question, has Eddie Howe taken Newcastle as far as he can? Again, I don't know what you boys think about that. Personally, I think
listen, they have another opportunity to win. They're in the Carabao Cup semi-final again, so if they win the Carabao Cup again,
aren't they? Didn't another chance to win a trophy. They're playing City though in the next round.
That's true. No, they are playing City in the next round. That's the draw just finished. So
yeah,
before we start recording,
you never know. To be fair with that, but yeah, look,
I feel like they're like a one-off team, though, aren't they? Like I feel like with Newcastle, right? Even at home, they've not been very good. I'll be honest. They beat Burnley just because Burnley had a red card, and they drew 2-2 with Tottenham. Now Chelsea, I feel like are way more of a threat, especially with Garnacho probably found his level against the League One side. And then you got, to be fair, Pedro Neto's decent, but Caicedo, I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game, but all I know is that Caicedo is obviously just up there in the midfielders in the Premier League, alongside your Bruno Fernandes's and your Declan Rice's.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's probably in that conversation for the best midfielder in the Prem. So I feel like that type of a player can have a major impact on the game like that.
Yeah, one thing I'll give to Chelsea compared to Newcastle in terms of the midfield, because when you look at Newcastle's midfield, they have been highly praised a lot of the time with the players that they got, Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton. But I feel like Chelsea has a bit more creativity in theirs, is what I'd say. As good, and this is not to diminish Newcastle's midfield whatsoever, because they're an absolutely amazing midfield and some of the best in the league, but I think they can struggle sometimes to create chances, not just because of the midfield, but just the team in general. I just don't know if they got enough creativity. But one thing I will say is Voltemada has been a great player for them, so when they do create chances, he usually can finish them. But I just think Chelsea are better currently in terms of a balanced team. I think, to be fair to them, they've been playing together for a while. They got good attack. They got a lot of depth in attack as well. So when it gets to the end of the game, they're able to bring on fresh legs. Unlike and really good fresh, you know what I'm saying? It's not just youngsters or players that aren't that good. No, you got players obviously sometimes they bring in on Pedro Neto instead of starting him and stuff like that. So I think that's also a big advantage for Chelsea.
Yeah, they're an exciting team. Hassan, maybe we talked about Chelsea for quite a bit. What do you think about the Newcastle side of things?
It was you could talk more about what Ali was trying to say. I feel like with Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, they're good players. I just don't think they bring enough, threat up front. I don't think they create enough chances for Voltemada. I think Voltemada, when he's had the chances, he's been pretty clinical, but I just don't think he's getting enough chances to score goals. Because we saw from the beginning of his stint at Newcastle, he was scoring goals left, right, and centre. But
we got to remember the Newcastle's in the box as well. They're mostly headers, and
Yeah.
Look at the Sunderland goal. Unbelievable goal, mate. You know what I mean? Great header.
Yeah. That's the thing. They need to do that, but on the other side of the pitch. So
yeah, exactly.
So I feel like when they start to give more chance to him, with his lethal heading ability, he'll be able to score more goals. So I just don't know if Newcastle. Things when I watch them play, they don't look very, like, how do I say, very aggressive on the ball. Like, they don't look like they're pushing out to score. Like, sometimes you've got the wingers, you've got Gordon, he's got a bit of pace, he can run down the wing, but it looks very basic to me. It doesn't look like they're doing anything special. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's very tactical, like, side of things, you know. I think when you watch teams like Chelsea, for example, Maresca's more on the tactical side of things. Chelsea play a nice style of football. With Newcastle, it's a bit anything goes, you know, on the wing or whatever. So I do want to see a bit more, you know, of the tactical side for Eddie Howe, because I don't think he's done enough, I think, with this team. I think that with Newcastle, they're a very good team, and I don't think he's getting enough out of them, especially in the league. I feel like when they did qualify for Champions League, you know, that was a good start for them, but I think, you know, now they start to dip off in the league and not do well. So, you know, it's not what Newcastle should be. Newcastle should be definitely top 6, and they're nowhere near that at the moment. So, yeah, it's quite unfortunate to see that.
100%. With the money they've spent, with the squad they have, they are improving gradually. I thought they'd invest more in a shorter period of time, but obviously, you know how PSR works. It's not letting teams really invest. Even if you have very, very rich owners, it's more dependent on revenue and all that. So, yeah. And it's kind of hard for the smaller teams to compete. We talked about this so many times, like with Newcastle, Villa, West Ham as well. Like all the teams lower in the league, other than the top 6. The revenue of those teams is just way bigger, and obviously they're able to spend more. And I feel like we're going to discuss probably a transfer topic later in the video. But we'll move on to the next game, and that is Brighton vs Sunderland. What do you guys go with for that?
I've gone 3-1 Brighton.
I've gone for 3-2 Brighton.
I've gone 1-1 draw. But it's a bit of an interesting one, you know.
Obviously Sunderland are losing a lot of their key players to AFCON. And that's why I've gone for the score that I've gone. Again, as well, they're playing away, which we know they haven't been that great playing away this season. So with that, like, put together, I believe that Brighton can get a result, and a good result from this, because I do think Brighton are a good team. I know they suffered a loss against Liverpool, and only got a draw against West Ham in the game before that. But Brighton, like we said, they're very inconsistent. Sometimes they, can bag a really shocking and impressive win, and then sometimes they'll lose games that you really expect them to win. So, but I think they can win this game, and I think they will probably surprise us with the performance. And like I said again, I think Sunderland are just losing a lot of key players to AFCON, and I think it will definitely impact the way that they play. So, that's kind of why I've gone 3-1 for Brighton, to be fair.
For me, I've gone 3-2, just because I think that, I don't know, the things with Brighton, as Ali said, they've not been consistent, and I think defensively they've not been great. They've conceded a lot of goals lately. I don't know. With I think Aston Villa, it was a very high scoring game. That was probably one of the games of the season so far. So I've gone off based off that. They look a bit fragile at defense. Against West Ham, they weren't too bad, but we know West Ham's got their own problems, especially up front. So I wouldn't necessarily, think about that too much. And they did lose 2-0 to Liverpool. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking about. So I think that they will win the game, because they're at home. But obviously, I think defensively they're a bit frail. But I do think they're losing less players to AFCON. I think the only players they're losing is Baliba. I don't know if they're losing Minte. I don't know if Gambia's made it to the AFCON. But I'm guessing there's only one player that they're losing out. And Baliba's not been great this season either. So I don't think it will be a big loss for them. But I do think Brighton should win this game comfortably, just because I think they're the better team right now. I think Sunderland recently has not been the best, especially away. I think that they'll definitely lose the game. So that's why I put it down as 3-2.
I could probably say my result's a bit rogue. Like you were saying, obviously Sunderland are probably going to lose a lot of players to AFCON. And it's going to be a big loss because they have a lot of players, starting players that are of African nationality. So it's not really good for them. But I feel like even though they're going to lose those players, that win against Newcastle, whether it was a convincing win or not, it's going to give them so much confidence, I believe. And I think that a result against a team in a derby, do you know what I mean? Like, you saw when we beat Liverpool, how we went on a pretty good run of form, do you know what I mean? And I feel like it will give them quite a bit of confidence. And again, I'm not going to say they're going to win the game. I'm saying a draw, only because Brighton are a good team. But like we say about Brighton, they're very inconsistent. So in games you expect them to win, they win. They don't win sometimes. They draw. Do you know what I mean? It's really mixed. It's a mixed bag with Brighton. Sometimes Brighton win, like they beat Man City earlier on in the season. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're expected to kind of win this game, but I actually think that it could be a draw, and that's just my opinion, to be honest. But we'll move on to the next game, and the next game is Bournemouth and Burnley. What have you guys predicted for that?
2-0 Bournemouth.
I've gone for 2-0 Bournemouth as well.
I've gone 3-1 Bournemouth. Because just before you guys get started, obviously their defence is a massive issue. We saw what happened at Old Trafford. They conceded 4 goals. And they haven't really been great this season, if we're honest. Like, they had a great start, but they conceded a lot of goals. They also lost like 4-0 to Villa, and they lost 3-0 to like City. And that's like a lot of goals conceded, and I feel like that is a problem. And Burnley did have a good game against Fulham as well, and scored some great goals in that game. So yeah, I think they're a threat, but I feel like Bournemouth, now that they've scored those goals at Old Trafford as well, the 4 goals, they're going to gain a lot of confidence. Semenyo, obviously Ghana haven't qualified for the AFCON, but they've qualified for the World Cup, which is kind of weird. But yeah, he's looking like he's kind of back to his best, I guess. And yeah, I feel like we'll discuss Semenyo a little bit later as well when we come to the Man United side of things, because he's got a transfer rumours.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Carlos. I think Burnley, to be fair to them, they are a bit of a threat in terms of scoring goals. They do manage to score goals even in games where you expect them not to. They do have that threat going forward. However, because they're playing away as well, I don't expect too much from them. And Bournemouth are just a great side at the moment who are playing great football. I know they haven't necessarily got the results they've been wanting, but I think that draw against Manchester United will definitely give them a bit of confidence, because, it was going away, and, having to keep that mentality of keep going, considering they got the lead and lost the lead so late on, and then managed to claw it back just at the very end. Yeah, that definitely
could have even won the game at the end as well.
Exactly. Could have easily won the game if it weren't for Lament. So I think that will give them a bit of confidence, and they're playing at home, which definitely helps them. So I think they'll definitely, just beat Burnley with ease, to be honest. And yeah, no, I just think it'll be a simple win for them. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've given it a 2-0 win because I think Burnley recently has not been great. I mean, they've had score goals against teams, but I think they have 7 losses in a row right now, which is not a good record at all. I mean, I know it's Burnley and I know they've been promoted, but I still think that 7 losses in a row for any team is not good. I know against Fulham they were pretty good. They scored 2 goals and Fulham just crawled back and got the 3 goals. But I think you guys are right about Burnley. I think they do try to score goals and have a goal threat up front. But obviously, I don't think it's enough against a good side like Bournemouth. I think Burnley do struggle against the good sides, but against the sides around mid-table, they do pop a bit of fire. But against the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal, they've lost 2-0. So I've gone off base of that, kind of thing, because those teams, I won't say Bournemouth is to a level of Chelsea or Arsenal right now, but obviously Bournemouth is still a very good team, and I think at home they're a much better team, so that's why I've given it 2-0. But I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley does score a goal, because, they've been scoring consistently now for the last 4 games, so yeah, I'd still think that Bournemouth should win this game easily, but I still think Burnley will play well.
Yeah, 100%. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is, for Ali, very interesting. Manchester City versus West Ham. What have you guys predicted for that?
3-1 Manchester City.
I've gone for 3-0 Man City.
Gone 3-1 as well for Man City.
I'm not looking forward to this one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And I think you know why. Look, I think right now, it's... Man City are literally, in my opinion, I think they're the best team in the league right now. I know you got Arsenal obviously at the top, and Villa definitely, trailing behind as well. But I think Man City, in terms of dominance, I think they're better than both Villa and Arsenal. When you got a player like Erling Haaland, and we've talked about him multiple times, and I don't even need to talk about him. But not just that, but the players that are starting to come through for Man City as well this season. Ryan Cherky, who just scored a goal today against Brentford, an absolute wonderful goal into the top bins, and he's starting to show why he got signed for Man City, why and how good he is. Obviously, Phil Foden, we talked about him. He's starting to find his form again and playing like how he did a couple of seasons ago. And yeah, no, the players are just starting to gel in. We obviously talked about it being a rebuild, and it seems like it's starting to come together again. We talked about that in the last video as well. And yeah, no, Man City are just an insane threat, and West Ham, unfortunately, we have so many problems at the moment that I just don't think we could do much in terms of getting a result in this game, especially because we're playing away and we're not great. To be honest, we're not great away or at home at this rate, but yeah, considering that we're going to Man City, it's even worse. But yeah, no, I think we can possibly get a goal. I think we've been doing well in terms of scoring goals recently. It's just, staying in games and getting results have been an absolute... it's been hard to come by as of recent, so yeah, it's going to probably be another loss on the road for West Ham, but you can't really give them, you can't discredit them because it's Man City at the end of the day. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt to West Ham. It's Man City. Like, what do you expect us to do? Like, what the fuck are we meant to do when we got Mavropanos and like Kilman, Todibo, these man in the defense? I think Diouf's going off to AFCON, which as much I do love him, but I think defensively he is,
Wan-Bissaka as well.
Wan-Bissaka as well. Not ideal really.
Big losses.
Big losses.
Screwed, basically.
Look, we will have Kyle Walker-Peters at right back. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who's gonna play left back. If I don't know what's going on with Ollie Scholes.
Kilman at left back.
Oh no, I'd rather play myself at left back at this rate, or just no one at left back because I cannot deal with that guy anymore. No, I think if Ollie Scholes is available, then 100% he'll probably play, and but we'll have to wait and see what Nuno does with that. But realistically, this game's pretty much a write-off. So yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can add. I think Ali's hit the nail on the head with that one. I just think West Ham obviously not in the best position right now, but as he said, they've been scoring goals lately, so maybe 3-0 is a bit of a harsh score. Like maybe 3-1 is more of a fair, score. But I think when you're dealing with the likes of, I think Man City's defense so far, like recently, has been decent, and I think it's down to Donnarumma as well. He's insane at goalkeeper. Like he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now, if not the best. So yeah, like I just don't see West Ham scoring. I think that's been the main problem. Like scoring enough goals to win games, but also defensively they've been quite bad. I mean, they have the likes of Mavropanos and Kilman. I've always said Kilman is not, what West Ham need. He's not good enough for them. So
Kilman
I do think 3-0.
Not what any team needs, bruv. Not any team, bro. In the world
I don't think Wolves want him back either. So So I think that it's just not great for West Ham, and you're losing key players. Like your fullbacks are basically gone to AFCON. Yeah. I mean, Wan-Bissaka has not been great this season, but he does help a bit defensively.
To be fair,
he started to become a little bit better. Diouf is also a good player, but I think defensively he's a bit frail.
He just lets in too many crosses.
But it is what it is. I mean, it's just what do you expect against the informal Man City? Shaki scored a worldie today as well, so it is what it is, man.
Yeah, like we said, just West Ham. They have scored a couple goals in their last couple games, so that's one thing. And yeah, it's Man City now, like they're saying. You guys covered it quite well, to be honest. But Man City are now trailing Arsenal. There's not a massive gap as well. So we know how Man City are. They're going to be. They smell a bit of blood. So the Blue Sharks going to try and take back the league as they've done a lot. The last couple seasons. So yeah.
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 That's it. Summed up quite well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next game, and probably another game where we know the result. Wolves versus Brentford. What have you guys predicted for that?
I've gone 2-1 Brentford.
I've gone for 3-1 Brentford.
Gone 2-0 Brentford. Yeah, I think we all know that Wolves, unfortunately for them, even when you back them, they don't back themselves. So yeah, it's just not great for them,
Bro, at this rate, Wolves are probably better off just putting out their fucking esports team, because the owner's just putting more investment in there.
Or even the youngsters, give them a chance.
Nah, screw the youngsters, bro. All the money's gone to the esports team. Just chuck them out on the field and see what they can do. Clearly, the owner cares more about the esports team. So if that's the case, chuck them on the field. Get them to do the job, because that's clearly where the money's going. And at this point, I feel so like, bro, I don't even know what to say. Like, I can't feel more bad for a team than Wolves, because They just don't deserve this, and it's not even their own doing. It's not the manager's doing, and I won't even argue it's the players' doing. It's literally all down to the ownership. Just no care for the first team whatsoever, no care for the football whatsoever. And like I mentioned just then, like the esports teams, what he's been more invested in, which is just it's just like, what's the point of buying a club if you're not even going to care about the football? Just go buy FaZe Clan or something, bro, at this rate, or like bloody Optic. Like, you know what I mean? What's the point of buying Wolves just to invest in an esports team, right? When you're buying a football club, like, it makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense. And honestly, it's a disgrace, to be honest. It's a disgrace. Yeah.
But yeah, is that what you want to say about Wolves?
Yeah,
esports.
I feel like we're just bashing them like every week, and it's not nice. I don't like doing it, but it just has to be said because I think because we've argued they could be the worst Premier League side ever. Like it is just a topic of conversation every week, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? Because we're always thinking like, can they get a result, and they just never do. So we talk about Haaland being inevitable. At this rate, Wolves are inevitable, but for all the wrong reasons. So that's just not great, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about Wolves. They might start with a W, but they're allergic to W's at this point. And they're saying of wolf in a sheep's skin, but they're the sheep in the wolf skin. So yeah, it's pretty sad, to see them like go out like this. No, it's just, I don't know what to say. I just feel bad for the fans. Like we've all been there. West Ham fans, United fans have been there, but Wolves, it continues on for this long. I don't see how they're handling it at this point. Like at this point, I just like tell all the fans to stop going to the games and just sack it off and just watch the game at home, because you can't be feeding like.
Even that's not.
They've done walkouts. They did a walkout against Man United, I believe. What was it?
Did.
Like a certain minute in the game.
Yeah,
it was United.
And the game before that as well, when they were at home.
Well, yeah, obviously I don't watch Wolves that much. Obviously, I watch them against United, so.
Yeah, but they need to stop giving money to the owners because clearly they're not investing in the right places. So, yeah, I just feel bad for them, man. And yeah, Brentford are definitely gonna win this game. I mean, we've always said when is the win coming for Wolves, and it's never coming at this point. At this point, Jesus is gonna come down before Wolves gets a win. So, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
That is
crazy.
But I can agree with him on that one, to be honest.
Yeah, you just got to feel for Wolves, man. I can't lie. But to be fair to Brentford themselves, they haven't been very good over the last couple games. Like they lost 2-0 to Tottenham away from home.
Yeah.
Who loses to Tottenham away from home?
Yeah, literally.
That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? They drew 1-1 with Leeds. Okay, Leeds are an informed side. They lost 2-0 to Arsenal. This is just going through their results. They beat Burnley, but a lot of teams are beating Burnley. What was the other result?
I don't think
they lost 2-1 to Brighton.
I don't think those results matter. This game, it's Wolves. It doesn't matter how the other team's doing. Like, it's Wolves, unfortunately, for that. Like,
I really, for Wolves' sake, they need at least one win this season. Otherwise, this could be the most embarrassing
there's genuinely no
Premier League season from any club, and it's really, really sad.
I have a great question.
Go on.
Will Wolves win? Who's gonna do this first? Will Wolves get a win first, or will Wirtz score first?
Surely Wirtz, right?
Yeah, you'd expect Wirtz to score a goal. Come on, he's 100 million.
I think Wolves will get a win first. Honestly, I reckon Wolves will get a win.
I'll tell you what. Do you know what it is? We're talking about Wirtz. Wolves signed a player called Arias. He was in the Club World Cup. I think he was playing for Fluminense or Flamengo, or he was playing for a Brazilian side. And he took Cunha's number 10 shit. Now, Wirtz, obviously, with the price tag, he's actually had some good games, but no goals and assists in the Prem. Brother, this guy, the Arias guy,
I've heard bad things about him.
Awful. And I saw a Wolves fan complaining about this guy and how awful he is. He's useless. And that's to replace Cunha and the number 10 shirt at a club like Wolves, who have like very technical, skillful players. They've had that for a couple of years now. Do you know what I mean? The Portuguese/Brazilian flair. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't brought that. So
maybe that was their mistake. They haven't signed enough Portuguese players this summer. You know what I'm saying? They went away from their model. I don't know what was going on. Why? It was going so well. Maybe they lost their connection.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know who their connection was. I think it was like Jorge Mendes or something like that. Apparently he was getting these Portuguese players to come in, but yeah, clearly that's not there anymore. So that's probably where the troubles have started, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see. But I feel like let's move on from this game. We've discussed enough, and it's probably fair to say.
We didn't really speak about Brentford at all, but yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like it's fair. Yeah, true. I'd sort of discuss how Brentford haven't been that great, but they probably will still win the game.
Yeah.
Not really.
But let's move on to the next one because we've got to move on. And I would say it's Tottenham versus Liverpool. What have you guys predicted for that?
2-0 Liverpool.
I've gone for 2-1 Liverpool.
Gone 3-1 Liverpool. Finally, we're getting a bit of a change in the scorelines. Bit interesting,
Where do we begin? Like Tottenham.
Tottenham at home.
Yeah, stinky at this rate. I don't know. Like they've just not been great. Obviously, their last game lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest, which is absolutely shocking. And I just don't really. It's a weird one with Tottenham because honestly, like I just don't know. Like they're not doing that bad entirely as in the season. I forget where they are in the league, but like they're not doing as bad as maybe some of the as it's been made out of, but they are at the same time. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like you look at them in the league, they're not in an awful position, but the way they're playing doesn't really reflect that. You get what I'm trying to get at? Like it's a weird thing with Tottenham this season. Because I watch them and like when they lose, they're awful. Like they're awful. But somehow they're not even in like the bottom half of the league, I don't believe. Which is beyond me. Oh, they are. Where are they? They're
11th. They're 11th right now.
They're just about. But we've talked about how close it is from like what was it, like 14th to like 5th or something like that. So it's like literally they get a win and they'll go back up to like bloody 7th or something stupid like that. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like now though there's like kind of a gap building. You look at like
you are right. To be fair.
From Sunderland and from like down, there's kind of building a bit of a gap. So Brighton from the two gaps now, there's like 3 points in it. So let's say Tottenham were to win, the highest they could potentially go is 9th and no higher this weekend. So it's starting. The league is starting to shape up a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're definitely right. However, you got Liverpool. They just beat Brighton at home 2-0. Very good win for them. A clean sheet, which I think is I think that's the key thing for them, because we've talked about how poorly they have been defensively. So getting a clean sheet, I think, is really good for their confidence and really good going forward defensively. Doesn't mean that changes don't need to be made in the defense. Definitely do. They need to get another centre back or two in the January transfer window. But going forward, I don't think they really have problems. Like Isaac's not great, but as long as they keep with Ekitike, they'll have no problem scoring goals because that guy is good. He is very good. He's. But I also saw.
I don't want to cut you off, but Cody Gakpo. That people have been saying he's been awful.
Oh no, he has been. But I think Luis Diaz. I do think losing Luis Diaz was a big problem, and obviously, rest in peace, Diego Jota. He was such a good player for them coming off the bench, or even when he would start, he was a very vital player for them. So
don't forget Darwin Nunez as well. He was.
Okay, fair enough.
He was an injury, but you know what I mean. Like he did score some important goals for Liverpool. Remember, they won the title last season, and he was kind of a big part of that.
Yeah, I guess so. He was a bit of a weird player. I mean, he would score the hard chances and not the easy ones.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that to let him go regardless. But I think Liverpool's problems.
They got a good fee for
I think
50 million, something like that.
Yeah. I think that was good for them. But I think Luis Diaz, even though they sold him for a good price considering his age, I feel like. Yeah, I feel like still a big.
They made a mistake with that, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think they replaced him correctly at all.
Should have held them for another year.
They didn't bring in a winger. They brought in two strikers, and I feel like from now until one of them leaves or Isaac leaves, because Ekitike is the good one at the moment. They have made a massive mistake making those two signings, and I won't stop saying it until you somehow fit both of them in the same team, because you've spent too much money on two strikers who are, they both should be starting for their teams, right?
If you look back on the video
good enough at the moment.
If you look back on the video, I said exactly the same thing. Because I'm like, you bought a young striker in Ekitike, he's literally one of the top talents in Europe right now. Why would you buy another striker who's going to start ahead of him? He's not going to be sat on the bench. He's going to be unhappy about it. And he wants to move to a club where he's going to be starting every game. So it doesn't make sense why they invested in two.
That's why I was surprised they didn't like buy Semenyo or something. Semenyo would have been a great player on that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Kudos.
100%, I agree.
As much as I hate the guy.
You know what is... Do you guys want to discuss Semenyo now, or should we save it for like the United game?
No, we'll save it for later. Save it for later.
Save it, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. On Tottenham's side of things, like we said, they've just not been great this season. I mean, Al mentioned it. They are in the bottom half of the table, and even if they were to win, they'd only go up to 9th. Now, the gap is starting to build a little bit. If Tottenham don't get a result in this game, which I don't think they will, because obviously Liverpool are in the top half now. It's not looking very good for Tottenham, and... Thomas Frank, is he under a bit of pressure potentially?
I was just about to ask that question.
Again, Kudus is gone as well. Kudus is gone. Sorry, Ghana didn't qualify. My bad.
Yeah.
Ghana didn't qualify. So,
do they have any players going from AFCON? I don't believe so.
Sarr, I think he plays for Senegal.
I don't think he does start for them though. Does he?
He's plays sometimes.
He's a sub. Anyway,
he's all right.
Going back to it, I think with Thomas Frank, I do think he is building. There is pressure building around him. Because I know a lot of Tottenham fans that don't really like the style of play that he has, his pragmatism, they're not really a fan of it. And I can understand because they're not really that stable right now in terms of their performances. You can't really identify how good. Like, it's just weird. Like, the way they're playing is just. I think each game there's a different problem. Whether it's the defense one game and whether it's the attack the next game. You get what I'm saying? Or the midfield another game. The problem always is different in each game. It's not clear, and that is a big problem. When you can't identify a single problem, then it's probably down to the manager, and it's a weird one because obviously we've said the manager's a great manager. It's probably, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it could be due to him not being able to handle the egos at this club. I think with Brentford, the players were so with him that's why it worked. I think at Tottenham, because some of these players are on such high wages, they probably, their ego gets them and they're just not really with the manager. And I think that is a massive problem right now at Tottenham.
You never know, that Europa League win could have been the worst thing that's happened to them.
No, I don't think it's the Europa League win, to be honest. I think it could be the money. I think what gets the players' egos can be what money they get put on and their contract.
But also, I'll go back to that as well. I feel like with the... I feel like when you look at Man United and Tottenham, obviously that was the final, right?
Yeah.
Man United had to rebuild from the start. They didn't have Champions League football. They didn't have that luxury of the Champions League football. I know they spent a lot in the summer on the attack that they built, but they've had to rebuild that attack. And obviously now we're starting to see Man United scoring a lot of goals and the second top goal scoring team in the league, right? Obviously other problems have popped up, but I think Tottenham, they haven't covered the positions they need to, even with that money they've gained from the Champions League football. And I feel like maybe if they didn't win that Europa League and didn't get the Champions League football, they might have gone back to basics. And, especially with the kind of squad they have now as well, they haven't really invested in the correct places, in my opinion.
Again, I still do think it can be an ego thing because we saw as well at one point in the season after one of the games where Van der Ven and Jed Spence obviously ignored the manager after the loss. And that for me was, you just can't do that as a player. I don't care if it was, you're just mad and say heat at the moment. No. You can never ignore the player in front of the public like that. The manager. You can never ignore the manager in front of the public like that. It's a disgrace. Especially when he, you know what I mean? He's trying his best to, he's just joined the club. You've got to be behind him. But again, I think that could be what the problem is.
Yeah, agreed. Should we move on to the next game? It is Everton v Arsenal. Now, Arsenal definitely need a result in this game because, like we said, Man City smell blood and they have a game against a team, unfortunately for Al, in the relegation zone. So they will very likely win. So Arsenal need to get a result in this game. What do you guys think?
I've gone 3-1 Arsenal.
I've also gone for 3-1 Arsenal.
I've gone 2-0 Arsenal.
Fair.
What do you guys think?
I agree with your points that you're making. I think I think each game now going forward is just always going to be a massive game, and it always is in the Premier League. But I think
win.
I think it's because of the previous couple results. that's why it's become, the pressure around the game has become bigger for Arsenal, because I talked about it in the last videos, and I'm not going to keep saying it again because Arsenal fans, I'm going to say it again. Yeah, I think they're going to bowl the league, right? The fans can be as annoyed as they want.
I don't think you've said it enough, by the way.
Nah,
The Arsenal
yeah,
bowl the
do you know
league.
what I mean?
do you want me to say it again? I don't mind saying it again. Nah, but look, I'm not the only one that's saying it, and I think you can kind of understand why, because you can see with Arsenal in the last few seasons, and the reason behind them bottling the league has been just from falling under pressure and then allowing Man City to just, claw back the title, or Liverpool like last season. And it is just that. Like, they just, in my opinion, I think their mentality is the biggest problem. When they feel the pressure, they just can't, a lot of the players can't handle it. And Arteta's decision making just becomes a problem, and all this. I just don't think they can handle the pressure when it gets to them. But again, this game is massive for them. If they can win it, and win it convincingly, I think they can, go back to their, the way they were playing, carry on winning games with no pressure on them. But now each game there will always be pressure until they can get, prove that they're, dominating again, So, and I think Everton, it's always a hard game for Arsenal. It's always been a hard game for Arsenal. They've, seem to not always dominate that game. So again, I think this can be a very difficult game. And obviously they're going to Everton, and we talked about how the new stadium for Everton seems to be, at a big advantage for them. And yeah, so I think they recorded the highest decibel or something like that in one of the games this season, Everton, in the new stadium. So, this can be very intimidating, and considering Arsenal are in under a bit of pressure, you never know what can happen in that game.
If you want a Premier League hot take, I'll give you something just before you. Sorry, I seen you wanted to jump in there, Hassan. I feel like maybe if Arsenal were to lose the first place position before the new year, it could be a bit easier for them, if that makes sense. The pressure of being first place
100%
won't be on them, and then they have to chase Man City. Obviously, it might be easier for Arsenal to get results, but will Man City drop results? That's also another thing you got to consider. Man City have felt this pressure before, and they have won league titles. They've won they've won 6 out of the last 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something stupid like that, probably even more than that, right? So I feel like potentially, maybe if Arsenal were to drop out of first place, let's say after this game, maybe Everton get a result and then Man City go up to first, then might not be the worst thing. But obviously, to win and keep on winning is obviously what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it is dependent on other teams in the league. Obviously, Man City and Villa up there as one of the dangerous teams in the league to take off Arsenal. But I do think Arsenal need to focus on their games each week and stop worrying about the other teams. Obviously, it's going to be a big advantage when those other teams start dropping points, and every team at some point in the league drops points. Not every team is perfect, but if Arsenal can keep winning games, from now until the start of the year, and after that start of the year, after they get a bit of break, just continue on to start having a good form, they could definitely see clutch the league title. But I do think that they need to have a good mentality and not be too concerned about the future, or be looking too far in the future, because as we know it, the league is never over until you win it. So you need to just carry on going week by week. But what I was going to say about Everton, I do think Everton are a good team. I think they've been, not consistent enough. I feel like at the start of the season, they were very good. Top half of the league. We thought Everton are back, whatever, but they started to show signs again of creeping back into, the usual Everton that we see. But they've had impressive wins, I think. Against Chelsea, Chelsea's a good team, so I don't really blame them for that. And they got unlucky. I feel like Everton had a lot of chances to win that game. But against Nottingham Forest, they had a 3-0 win. Against Bournemouth, they had a 1-0 win. So, good results here and there. So I do think, against Arsenal, they definitely have a chance of giving them a good game. And I think this is a crucial win for Arteta if he gets the win. If he loses games like this, then just call it a day for Arsenal fans. I don't think they'll be seeing the Premier League anytime soon, and they'll just go back to being Netflix FC, the one that we love. So we'll leave it like that.
I guess we covered the Arsenal side quite well there. Everton are going to lose, like we said, Iliman Ndiaye and Sagana Gay. Big losses.
He's been good for them as well, Gay.
Yeah, they've both been very good and very important players for them. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that's going to affect them. But I do think it will have a massive impact because two very important players. When you lose these type of players, it can make you sort of a lot worse. So we'll move on to the next game now because I feel like we covered this game quite a bit. And it is Leeds versus Crystal Palace. What do you guys think for this game?
I've gone 2-1 Crystal Palace.
I've gone for... Wait, hold up. Give me a sec. I've gone for 2-1 as well. To Crystal Palace as well. Yeah.
I've gone 2-1 as well. I can't always change my result because you guys have predicted the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I think Leeds, to be fair, they are playing really well at the moment. And even against Brentford, I know they only got a point, but I think they deserve 3 because they were a much better team than Brentford. And they're playing at home, and we've talked multiple times about how, hard it is to go to Ellen Road and the atmosphere that the fans can create there and how intimidating it can be. And obviously it was showed in against Chelsea. And yeah, so I think it can be it's very difficult for teams to go there, and it's a big advantage for Leeds. However, unfortunately, I just don't think they're that much better. I don't think it's that much of an advantage that it can get them over the line against Crystal Palace. I think as well, Crystal Palace, yes, they just come off the back of a 3-0 loss. But it's, it's not a fair judgment that game because, it's Man City, for starters, who have been one of the most dominant teams recently. And Crystal Palace actually had chances in that game, and I don't think the result really reflects their performance in that game. Trying to think, are Palace losing anyone? They might be. Are they going to lose Ismail Assar to AFCON? Possibly.
I believe so. Yeah, Senegal.
So that could be a big loss for them. But again, I think Crystal Palace is such a good team at the moment. They're currently 5th, which is crazy. And yeah, I think they got a game. Do they tomorrow? Give me a sec.
But anyway, the AFCON?
No. Don't worry about that. I think it was Crystal Palace. Yeah, they got a game.
Oh, they do actually. Yeah, that's a good point.
League. And actually, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if it's still a fact, but there was a fact at one point in the season where after every Conference League game, they would lose the next game that they had in the Prem. So again, I don't know how true it is now. But it
is true because they lost against United and they lost to City.
Well, there you go. Obviously, that probably shows the lack of depth that they have. And we've talked about this before. I think teams like Palace, Bournemouth, Everton, Sunderland, like these teams' biggest problem, Villa, Newcastle, the problem they all have usually is the depth. They're not able to I feel like sometimes they got to really focus on one thing, whether it's the Premier League, whether it's like a cup, or you know what I mean. So for example, Newcastle, if I were them, or I'm sure with them, they'd probably be more focused right now on the Carabao Cup, considering they're in the semi-finals and probably don't have the depth to be able to take on, to get far in the Champions League as well, or on top of in the Premier League, and on top of that with both of the cups, the League and Carabao Cup. It's not easy, especially with the depth, and that's down to PSR, and we've talked about that before. And I think it's a big problem in the Premier League that needs to be changed. I don't know how, but something needs to be done about it so these teams can compete a bit better and keep their positions in the league. Whereas if it's like, for example, Villa being up there in the top 6, really establish themselves, they would need to probably spend a bit more, and they kind of can't because of PSR. So I think something about that needs to be changed to allow these teams to really establish themselves in Europe. And yeah, but no, again, I think Palace are a great team, but maybe this Conference League could screw them over. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you pretty much. With what you said, I think Palace lacking that squad depth. Like the squad in general, you could tell is very tired. Coming off the straight of the Conference Leagues, not looking fresh, not looking good at all. So I could completely understand on the player side. They're too tired to play 2-3 games a week sometimes. So then, I think Glasner's complained about it a lot. I don't know how many games it was in a short period of time, but it was something ridiculous, and I do feel bad for the players. Pretty sure Man United, like a couple of seasons ago, was in the same situation as well. That's why we had this big injury crisis going on at the club. So yeah, I feel like that is definitely an area where where the manager can be concerned about his players, because you don't want your players to get injured, especially a crucial season for Crystal Palace. Coming off the FA Cup win, and winning the Community Shield. You want to build on from that and continue to do well. And if they do want to win the Conference League, then they need to have fresh legs most of the time, because you cannot keep playing players every single game. You need to have rotations around there, but doing that can risk losing points, and especially against a team like Leeds, who's been quite decent recently. You can't take that risk, so you need to keep most of your first team or first starting players in the team, and have a few youngsters in there to cover up for some of the players. But yeah, I think he needs to keep the team as close to the starting team as much as possible, because he might risk losing, just as he did it against United. So yeah, I'd say Crystal Palace should win this game, but you can see why they might not win this game, especially because of Leeds doing really well recently.
I mean, there's a little stat for you. They have scored the same amount of goals in the Premier League, but Crystal Palace's defence is... Leeds have conceded double the amount of goals. So 20 goals scored for both teams, but Palace have only conceded 15 and Leeds have conceded 30. So you can probably see where the sort of areas that should be looked at. I mean, Leeds' defence is quite poor, and for a team that are in the sort of bottom half of the table, near the relegation scrap, they are scoring a good amount of goals, to be fair, but I feel like Crystal Palace's defence is so good that I don't think that even like we said, with the sort of the Conference League curse they have, I mean, the 3 of the goals they conceded were against Manchester City, and Manchester City are great as well. Looking at it, I feel like Crystal Palace's defence is going to be just about enough to keep them in front in this game and win them the game, to be honest. Even though Calvert-Lewin has scored four goals in a row, I believe, in the Premier League against like Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, and Brentford they played last time. So yeah, he's on form. He might get a goal, but I feel like Crystal Palace will just edge the game, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, that's what I think for this game. Let's move on to the next game. It is Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Big game. Probably one of the bigger games of the weekend. Both teams near the top-ish. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is a rogue prediction. My rogue prediction for the week: 2-1 Manchester United.
Surprisingly, I've gone for 2-2.
I've gone 2-2 as well, That's mad. The only person backing Man United is the non-Man United fan.
Look,
yeah.
This one for me is this, yeah. And it's kind of philosophy I have. I feel like Villa can't just keep winning. There's just no way. And look, they might win again or even get a result. But I just think there's no possible way they can keep this.
We said this about Wolves. But Wolves not winning a single game.
This is a completely different situation. Like, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like the same thing, but the opposite side of the coin. You know
I think
what I mean?
when you're losing, it's harder because you have
spectrum.
no confidence. But when you're winning and you have the confidence, it's easier to keep it up. You get what I'm saying? But again, I think there's surely no way they keep it up. And I think with United, they're that kind of team that they can stop these, kind of runs that these teams are having. They're just a weird team like that. They're sometimes on one-off games, they can really perform and outperform even the best of teams. We've seen it, whether it's against Liverpool in certain seasons, whether it's against Man City. You know what I mean? They managed to get results when they were the underdogs. And I feel like Manchester United could do this. I know they're playing away as well, which is still, adds to the madness. But I don't know. I just got a sneaky feeling they could win this game. I'll probably end up being completely wrong and look like the absolute dickhead. But, why not? Fuck it. See what happens.
Pretty sure, before any of you get involved, Aston Villa Man United games, I feel like, last season we beat them, last game of the season, and they needed that win to get Champions League football. We beat them 2-0, and Martinez got sent off, which was obviously a bit stinky from him. I think we had a 0-0 draw earlier on in that season, and the previous season to that, we beat them twice. We beat them 3-2 at home and 2-1 away, where Højlund got his first goal on Boxing Day, and McTominay and Højlund scored away, where we thought Højlund was the best young thing since sliced bread.
I've kind of got like the stat here. In the last 10 years, I think you've played them 17 times. You've won 10 of them and drawn 4, and they've lost 3. They've won 3, so yeah.
So it's in our favour, but again, the form they're on, can they finally break that curse, I guess, at least for the last 2 seasons?
I'm not sure what I was gonna say when I wanted to jump in.
Sorry about that.
But no, it's fine, it's fine. But I just don't back my team to, defend well. We've seen how United is quite frail without the likes of De Ligt and Maguire as well. To be fair, De Ligt's been one of our best players this season, and you can tell the difference, with De Ligt and without De Ligt, and it's night and day difference. So yeah, I just don't back my team to keep a clean sheet or even just to concede just one goal. So that's why I've given it a draw for a reason. Obviously, I'd back my team to win. I want them to win, but I just don't have much confidence in the defense. Attacking wise, as Hollis has said, we've scored the second most in the league, which is obviously a very good thing. We've kind of solved the attacking problems from last season. Scoring goals was our big problem, or lack of scoring goals was our big problem. But right now it's our defense, and we've conceded a lot. We've conceded, I think, the most in the top half of the table, and by a landslide as well. So it's not looking good for us in terms of that. But I do have confidence that we'll score goals, and at least 2 goals. But it just depends on Villa. If Villa want to turn up as they have been turning up for the last and also games or whatever, then it will look bad for us. But I think Villa, this is a game where it means more to them than to us, I think, because they want to keep the unbeaten run and potentially stay up that high in the league and battle for the title. But I do think that it can be in danger for them. I think that this is a game where they could easily lose it, but this is a game where they need to be confident because they're at home, they have the advantage, playing at Villa Park is not an easy place to play at, so I think they do have the big advantage, and it'll be a very interesting game to watch as a United fan, for sure.
Just before we move on to the next game, I will sort of bring in a little bit of transfer news because obviously we're approaching the January transfer window, and that transfer news will start to come in a lot more. And obviously now AFCON's come into play, so Ahmad, Mazraoui and Mbeumo for Man United won't be available. But we have been linked to Antoine Semenyo, who did score against us earlier in the week. And the news from Fabrizio Romano is Manchester United and Manchester City have approached Bournemouth in the last 48 hours to understand the terms of Antoine Semenyo's £65 million release clause. Tottenham are pushing for a move as well, but the decision remains with Semenyo. So what it looks like now is pretty much who's going to pay the money. Whoever pays the money, I feel like, especially in January, we'll get him.
Where is he going to play for United? That's the one question I've got as well.
I mean, in the AFCON, if we sign him earlier in the window, then he'll probably start in one of the cam positions. But apparently, we want to bring him in at wing back. Now, I feel like, just before you guys, if you want to hop in, I feel like it's the wrong decision to sign Semenyo. Only because if we need to sign a player right now, it's not a bad. It's not. Listen, I'd take Semenyo, great player.
I agree with
He's done very well this season. He's third in the goal scoring rankings, but we need to look at improving other positions. Like our central centre back position is looking. Obviously, De Ligt and Maguire. Once they come back, it will probably look a bit better. But the midfield is such a big issue, and we need to address that. Whether that's in January or whether that's in the summer. I feel like if we address the midfield position in January, I feel like we've made sort of a big case for top 4, and that is my opinion.
I agree with you, to be honest.
Go.
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, you go.
I feel like, left wing back is not the strongest position for us because we've seen Dalot play our position to play there. However, I do think the biggest problem is the midfield. You can see the midfield is the reason why we concede a lot of goals as well. Because Bruno and Casemiro, they're not exactly suited for Amram's style or a system. Bruno obviously is being played out of position. Casemiro's lost his legs, so I don't think you can expect them to do a proper job in that area. So we do need a young, good CDM in that position, because that's the only way we'll play a decent style football without conceding a lot of goals. But I do think Semenyo is a class player, and as Khala said, if he came to our club, I would be disappointed if he did. But he's not what we're looking for, I think. I think we need to focus on the conceding goals aspect of things, because that's our main problem right now. Our main problem is not scoring goals, even though Semenyo is scoring a lot of goals. I just think there's other bigger problems in the club that needs to be addressed first before we get Semenyo.
What do you think?
Ali wants to say something? Yeah.
Honestly, I just agree with your points. I do think he would be a good signing, but for 65 mil as well, when you've got other places you need to address, especially with, obviously there's been rumours with Kobe Mainu going out on loan or possibly, in January. So I think addressing that position, that CDM 6, whatever it is in the midfield, is way more important. However, I think losing out on Semenyo would also be a big, loss, to be fair, because
100%.
I've heard City might be interested. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah,
but,
City and United both approached Bournemouth about Semenyo.
Yeah. To be fair, if City get involved, I think it's a no-brainer where he's going to go. So, but
is it though? Because you got to think about how many attacking players the City have and how much game time.
How many minutes? How many minutes he'll get?
If he possibly, I doubt it, but like the wing back, I don't know.
Left back?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe
I don't think he's a defender though. He's not a full-on defender. I mean, he's close towards a defense. To be fair,
you know what Guardiola's like. You'll probably.
I think if they do sign him, they're going to play him on the wing or at least push him in. Do you know what I mean? I feel like United probably need him. Like in the wing back position for us, he'll be way more useful than
left wing back.
Let's say at left back for Man City. That's like pretty much
Look, we know Guardiola. That man's a crazy guy.
By the way, I'm going to sign you to play you at left back. Nah, bro, he's not going to take that. He'll rather sign for Man United at left wing back.
He'll probably play him at some mad position. Probably like
goalkeeper.
You want that though?
Donnarumma and then play him in goals.
You want that though? That's the thing. And also, I want to talk about Bruno as well because he's come out of an interview. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah,
but he's talking about the summer. Yeah, he's talking about the summer saga and how he's he's interested going to Saudi, whatever. Al Hilal put in the bid, 100 million bid, and he didn't go. And I think, he's within his right to feel that way. Because in my eyes, Bruno is kind of a legend because of what he's done to the club since coming, at the roughest time of Man United. He's come in and becoming that, star player for us. The players tried the most to, try and score goals, contribute the most, whereas the other players are kind of let him down type of thing. But I do think it was a bit strong what he said, especially as club captain. You want to be the one that's not involved in any drama and making all the other dramas around other players dying down. So it's like Kobe Mainoo situation, right? You want him to be the person to stop those things from escalating, whereas he's adding a bit more fuel to the fire. I feel like, and he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I want to say is that he should have probably kept that or saved that after he leaves Man United, rather than saying it now during the season. I don't think it was the best time to say it, in my opinion.
I just don't think he's captain quality, in my opinion. Like, he's good and he can sometimes lead by example, but I just don't think he's the perfect captain. And I think that is a good example.
I agree. We can't change our opinion after a couple games.
He leads by example of his football, but in terms of being a leader, vocal leader, in terms of protecting the players and this and that, not enough.
No, I think
he's a leader, but I don't think he's a captain, if that makes sense. He can be a leader in the dressing room, but I feel like somebody like a Matthias de Ligt, or who I think would probably flourish as a captain. Because
I think the things with Bruno,
he's so dominant.
I think he would be a good captain if he didn't let his emotions get in the way of things. I think he's a very emotional character, and he lets his emotions get the best of him. Whereas De Ligt, I feel like, is someone that's more cool and collected. You know what I mean? So that's why you'd go for someone like that. But I think Bruno is what he epitomizes Man United, because he dies for the badge. You know what I mean? He fights for the badge. He's always available. He doesn't make excuses. Exactly, 100%. I agree with you. But I feel like he's the only one who gives the most to his club. And a lot of people don't class him as a legend in our fan base, but I think he is a legend because of what he's done for the club since coming. At this period, then the club was failing really badly. But I just have to respect him for that.
Exactly. Imagine where we would be without Bruno. Let's move on, because we've discussed Man United for a big chunk of this video. And we'll move on to the final game of the weekend, or the week actually. It's a Monday game, and it is Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. What have you guys predicted for that?
1-1.
I've gone for 2-1 Fulham.
I've gone 2-1 Fulham as well. Any particular reasons?
I think it was a pretty dead game, if I'm being honest. Like, Fulham's starting to build up some form and some momentum, and Harry Wilson's been a great part of that. But I just don't think it's enough, and I think Fulham defensively haven't been great. They just lost to Newcastle today, but in their defence, that was away to St James's Park, and Newcastle are probably a better team. But again, I just think with Fulham, they're not convincing enough for me. And Forest, again, as well, same thing. I think Murillo's back for Forest. I think he played in the last game, and we mentioned how important Murillo is for Nottingham Forest. So he'll definitely be a good, key player for Forest in this game. But and obviously Sangare, and Hudson-Odoi on fire. after the last game. So yeah, obviously they got that momentum. So realistically, if anyone's
I'm
gonna
pretty sure
win this,
Sangari is going to AFCON though.
okay, yeah, forgot about that.
Yes.
Fair enough, not wrong. But still, they still got great players
Big loss.
in that midfield anyway. You got Elliot Anderson as well, Morgan Gibbs White as well going forward. So honestly, I know you guys are going for Fulham, and I've gone for a draw. But if I was going to go for anyone to win the game, I'd go Nottingham Forest, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's like, yeah. I mean, I think Fulham is losing a lot of players as well to international duty. I think they're losing Bassi, Iwobi, and Chukwueze, all going to Nigeria. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigerian.
Yeah, but Sangare is a big loss because we saw how good he was last game, goal and assist, and also what a goal he scored. So I feel like for Nottingham Forest, that's probably a really big blow. But I do think Fulham might have lost a bit more, like, of what makes their team good. I think Chukwueze is a good player for them. He creates a lot of chances for them. He had the assist last game as well. Iwobi has been good for Fulham. I think he's been an alright player. Bassi, he's been good as well defensively. So I think, yeah, a lot of big losses for both teams. But I do think Fulham recently have given other teams, a better game. Nottingham Forest have had very impressive wins, to be honest. I mean, obviously they beat Liverpool 3-0. They beat Tottenham 3-0. But yeah, I just back Fulham to win. I think Fulham, they've been decent recently, and they're playing at home as well. Big advantage for them. Because yeah, I think Forest at home usually better. I mean, they did beat Liverpool, but anyone wins at Anfield nowadays. But yeah, I back Fulham to win this, and that's why I give it 2-1. I do think it'll be a tight game though.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like a major impact on the game will be Mr. Harry Wilson, the Welsh Messi, who's been on great form, scoring some beautiful goals, who he's been doing throughout his whole career, not just for Fulham, but for the clubs previous as well. He's a quality footballer, and I feel like he's one of the main reasons why. I mean, he literally carried Fulham through that Burnley game. So, yeah, all credits to him. And also, they have a great goalkeeper in Leno who sort of saved them against Burnley. And I feel like he's a top goalkeeper, great shot stopper. And like you say, they are losing Chukwueze, who, and Iwobi and Bassi. They don't have many centre-back options per se of the quality of like Bassi, but I feel like, they play Anderson, who's the Denmark centre back, and I feel like they'll be able to sort of sort themselves out a little bit. I feel like Forrest and Sangare, he's become such a pivotal part of that midfield, and I feel like he'll be a massive loss. So yeah, I feel like a Fulham win. Maybe it could go either way. To be honest with you, it's an interesting game in that sense. So you don't know, but I've backed Fulham for this. So yeah, that is the predictions done, guys. Thank you very much. Bit of a longer video than we had expected, but that's hopefully good. And hopefully you guys leave your comments below and tell us what your predictions are and whether you agree with ours. But before we end it, Al, do you want to give us the quiz for the next player?
Yes, let's begin with the first fact. He scored his first Premier League goal against Aston Villa in December 2006 after a long early season goal drought. Second fact, during his time in England, he was frequently used as a lone striker in a 4-3-3 system that did not suit his natural style of play. Third fact, despite arriving in the Premier League as the reigning Ballon d'Or winner, he scored only 9 goals in all competitions in his first season. Fourth fact, his transfer to Chelsea in 2006 was driven more by the club's owner than the manager, leading to reported internal tension. And for the fifth and final fact, he wore the number 7 shirt at Chelsea, a number traditionally associated with wide players rather than central strikers. Let us know if you know who that is in the comments, and again, we will always reveal him in the next video.
Thank you guys for hopping in. We really appreciate your time. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when we upload videos, and we will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Peace.
See you.